There's a explain the merits of Robin argument going on. Brian seems to be the only one defending Robin. I'm just watching myself.
Robin's not in it.
Robin's not in the game, no.
Then it's a great game.
Is there a reason why Robin was left out specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the start when we broke down the key elements of Batman that we wanted to include, the great thing about Batman is that he is such a multifaceted character. But if you want to do all of those elements justice, we kind of felt that there were certain things we couldn't do as well as that. So if you bring Robin in, obviously then you have to bring in the elements of Robin. So we kind of focused on, these are the main things we want to do for Batman. We want to focus on the kind of this martial arts, this master of the martial arts. We want to focus on the invisible predator. We want to focus on the world's greatest detective, because there's an element of the game that's not really been done before, on his amazing gadgets, on the kind of psychological drive of Batman, because that's another thing that's really missed out quite a lot when you look at any medium really, like obviously the comics really mainly, and then the new film started to really get that kind of psychological drive and element of Batman, and we really wanted to get that in the game as well. And then you've got obviously the other characters, the antagonists, they're fascinating, his relationship with those characters, and that I think is one of the key things with Batman, is that he's driven in a way that other superheroes kind of aren't. That psychological relationship is what really fascinated us. The whole game really is about Batman's relationship with the Joker and what drives the two of them on, rather than just, I think a lot of superheroes are maybe about blowing up buildings, or they're about, it's about spectacle, and Batman is kind of much more personal. I think that's what's fascinating about him as a character and why he sort of resonates with people. So we sort of added all that up, and then could we fit Robin in as well? No. So sort of, yeah.
Going back to the detective, the world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's sort of like elements of like problem-solving puzzles and detection that's in the game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a number of things that are in the game. I mean, there's forensics trials and scanning in evidence from different areas as well. So when you're sort of following people, you've got a guy at the start who, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a guy at the start who's kind of drinking from a hip flask, and you can trace the alcohol in his breath after him. Yeah. It's only a minor one, it's quite early on. So that was a big element of the game, and also it does extend to the puzzle solving as well, and also when you're doing things like when you're tracking down the thugs in a room as well, you use detective mode, and it sort of tracks their heart rate and how nervous they are, and that allows you to make decisions on how you take them down as well. So it allows you to focus on particular people and alter your tactics, which is really kind of important. So like detective for us, it means detective as in like the traditional, but it also means thinking smart, thinking like Batman as well.
And then there's also ass kicking to be done too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of ass kicking to be done, yeah, definitely. I mean, we wanted to do something slightly different for the game, because it was, you get a lot of really complicated combat systems where you've got to learn sort of 20 button presses in a particular way. And we really felt like that was, and also with the game, because you're doing combat in kind of a staccato fashion, so you'll play combat, but then you'll do some detective work, and then you'll do some adventuring, and then you'll do some navigation. So we wanted a system that was quite simple to learn, but had a lot of depth as well. So the main buttons for the free flow combat are quite simple. You have strike, counter, stun, and dodge. And then you can throw in other things like the gadgets, like batarangs and backballs. So you've got a number of different things you can mix in, but the buttons are all very simple. And the real skill in the game is learning how to mix those buttons up, and put that together. That's the real kind of skill, is can you get that, So you'll see, and if you guys go and play the game, you can get some combos, and early on it's quite easy to beat up 5 or 6 guys, but some of the QA guys on the game, they can get like 150, 160 hit combos, so there's a lot of depth to the game when you play it as well. So accessible, but it has a lot of depth.
How do you feel working on? I think everybody does that. How do you feel working on a game with this? Okay, so there's never been a good Batman game before this, and so it
no
has
comment.
Stigma behind it. Did you feel like working on this and sort of an uphill battle to convince people that this one's going to be good? Trust me.
I mean, I guess a number of people sort of have said that. How can I word that answer? Yeah, so, but I mean, for us it was sort of, because we're on it every day and we've kind of worked on the game for sort of about 26 months now, you sort of kind of start to sort of filter that out. It's what you're doing every day, so you kind of have a vision that you want to stick to. You're not so sort of outside influence like that kind of doesn't really affect things, and we kind of always wanted to make it a real celebration of Batman, you know, the celebration of the Batman that we really love. That was really important to us. So I think we sort of deliberately don't look at older games. I mean, for me as the director, like, I sort of would say, like, let's not look at those older games, because I think what you can kind of get a bit of a bum steer off them. You can kind of get like pushed in directions that you don't want to go. Like, if you're trying to avoid things that they've done, sometimes the things that they've done haven't worked for reasons which they could be successful again, you know. So kind of we don't, you know, I think that, to answer your question, you know, it wasn't something that really affected the way that we worked. We just thought right from the start, we're going to get all these elements in, and that's going to be our vision of Batman. We're going to be really passionate about it, and we hope that people are passionate about it too when they get to play it.
I know that Kevin was like,
the Batman movie,
and I think the product
inspirations as a character. What did you
toward the end, it was getting more and more confusing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the fantastic thing for us is that the license is the comic book license, so there's like 70 years of Batman history that we could really tap into. So I think the Batman that we love, well, you can kind of see in the game, it is a bit darker. I mean, that's, you know, everyone sort of, I think, has part of Batman which they really enjoy, and obviously it appeals to kind of a younger audience through a lot of, you know, the gadgets and, you know, the cool cars and stuff. And also, I guess, the older audience through the gadgets and the cool cars, but then also kind of a psychological edge and angle to the character. You know, so I think that we obviously have quite a dark take on Batman. You know, we really enjoy stuff like the Frank Miller, you know, classic Frank Miller comics, Serious House on Serious Earth, in terms of kind of tonality as well, you know, like very kind of dark and twisted. You know, and they really represent as well, like I said before, this kind of psychological torment, you know, it was kind of those things added together, but there was lots of different influences from different areas, you know, it wasn't just, okay, it's this comics, it was kind of really our interpretation of all those things put together.
Were discarded for whatever reason, because they
Yeah, yeah.
or it was too much, it was straight too much into the realm of, you know, feature film and graphic novel.
Yeah, what does Harley look like in the game?
She looks very different. She kind of, the idea that we had as her, what would she do if she's trapped in the asylum? How would she kind of pimp up her own outfit? So it was sort of, maybe she doesn't have access fully to what her normal outfit, so she's going to try and create this own look for herself by taking what she's got and using different things in the asylum to kind of put it together to create this unique style. So it was a character that we pushed a little bit more. We kind of wanted her to have a feel that obviously felt consistent with the other characters in the game as well, and with our kind of very realistic sort of styled universe. But we wanted to be very authentic as well, so we worked very closely with Paul as well on Harley Quinn, and we showed her like the concepts that we had, working with Wildstorm, Jim Lee's Wildstorm as well, on the concepts, and we constantly went back to Paul and said, is this okay? Because obviously as the kind of co-creator of Harley Quinn, we wanted, are you happy with this? So it certainly wasn't a decision we took lightly, but it was something that we really felt that to sort of have a kind of consistency of tone with the rest of the game, we needed to sort of change her outfit a little bit. And she has a lot of things that she takes from, so she walks around with a cane that she steals off the warden, because she kind of takes on the role of the warden, and she wears his name badge as well. So she sort of kind of just, she's making her own sort of cheeky outfit, which was what we felt that she would do in the circumstances. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I think Harley's probably the biggest one, the biggest change. Harley's probably the one that we changed the most. And I mean, I think that Scarecrow recently revealed, like a couple of days ago, he kind of looks a bit different as well. Very, very evil, our Scarecrow, very nasty. I think who else really? I think those are probably the two that had the biggest changes. I think Joker we wanted to keep very kind of authentic. Batman I think was interesting as well, because we wanted to kind of keep him, in fact we wanted to realise him in like his proper kind of big pinnacle of masculinity form, rather than the sort of toned down, maybe you see in the films. Obviously they can't use kind of the real Batman because they've got to use an actor, but we can beef him up to how he really is, in the kind of, Jim Lee sort of much tougher, stronger Batman that, as he really is, in the comics, it's like he is a big guy, he's at the peak of physical perfection. So.
aspects of influence in the way you write the character. Because it's not just seeing Batman, you're talking about the character and that character. Does it influence when you write the same Batman?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always. There was nothing specifically that we picked, but you're always inspired by the stuff that sort of inspires you. So, you know, I love games like Metroid and Zelda, games where you really feel like you're going on an epic journey. And we really wanted that feeling for Batman, that you're doing this epic journey that you're going on.